Sure.
So, welcome everyone to the episode number 3 of Suryanshu Amaan podcast. The guest we have today is Mr. Amaan Khan, also known by his stage name, The Rapping Machine. I consider him as an epitome of patience and dedication. His journey as an artist is extraordinary. He's one of the fastest rappers from central India. He lives in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Talking about his educational achievement, he has completed his master's in English literature. His recent single Tanha is out now on all the music platforms. He has performed on various broadcasting platforms like MTV Hustle and India's Got Talent. His performance on India's Got Talent has gained a million views on YouTube recently. So, thank you so much, Aman sir, for doing this. My first question to you is: if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, you started rapping when you were 7, right?
Yeah, that's actually very right.
So, I mean, how did you, like, 7 is a very young age to, come across hip hop? How did you came to know about hip hop?
Okay, so first things first, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Suryanshu. I'm humbled with the fact that I could make an impact that led you to come to my ID, visit me, and then asked personally for this. And secondly, if we are coming to this, then I believe that when I have said it in n number of interviews, when I started to rap, I did not know it was called a rap.
Okay.
Right. When you take hip hop down to its basics, it's rhythm and poetry. So I believe it would be a little too much to call what I used to write back then rap, because there was no rhythm in it. But yeah, maybe because it had a little sense of poetism, because it had a little sense of. So I have always had a thing with words. I love words. I love exploring new languages. I love to express myself to its fullest in the most fanciest way. And contradictory to that, I used to be a shy kid. You won't believe it, but even today there are aspects of my life in which I'm very shy, and there are aspects of my life in which I'm very expressing. So I believe, yeah, that is what happened. And except for that, like I descend from a family of classical musicians. Like, except for my
Okay.
mom, my family has had a long lineage of musicians and everyone, right? So I believe that the sense of beats and the sense of rhythm and the sense of chords, of course, you need to perfect them, sit down and practice and learn, because music is one of those institutes of knowledge that is infinite. It never comes to an end. But I believe that my basics had always been so strong because I come from such a family, so maybe it's in the blood. Plus, I was raised in a missionary school, always was a part of the choir. And you remember how those prayers used to stick in our head? I don't know if you
Yes,
come from a
yes.
missionary. They were those prayers, and they were so simple that all the students used to sing them together. And I believe that had an impact. That had an impact in forming something that is creative and absolutely. So the funny part is that I belong to 4 different ethnicities per se, or 4 different religious backgrounds, because my mom was a Brahmin, my dad was a Pathan. I was raised by Christians, and my best friends were usually Sikhs. So I believe all that has been, and like that's not it, of course. So yeah, that's what's up. So these prayers that we used to recite in the school as a choir, then the love for the words, and then the music in the genes. I believe that is what laid the first few foundation stones of the rapping machine.
Okay. So like, which hip hop artist, like, introduced you to hip hop?
Eminem. If anyone else ever tells you otherwise, especially from India, I don't think they're telling you the truth. My generation, at least everyone that I know, they were introduced by Eminem. I mean, of course, there was two. I'm not saying that Eminem is the only legend there ever was in hip hop, but the point is that Eminem is like the gateway to hip hop. Like, it doesn't matter if you listen to hip hop or you don't. It is practically impossible that you haven't heard Eminem.
And so the major question that I had, how did you first of all, okay, this question is a bit layered. I'll say, how did you first decide that you wanted to pursue rap and hip hop, and what was your parents' reaction towards it? And if it was a bit, I'll say negative, then how did you convince them?
Um, so I don't think I ever chose hip hop. It's just that, there are two ways to go around dating. One is that, all those grand gestures and, proposing of will you be my Valentine and all of that. And one is that you hang out with them long enough that you don't even realize when did it convert into a relationship. So I believe that I belong in the second parable because I did what I had to do, right? There was no doing this, doing that. It's just that when I started doing it a lot more, when I started gaining recognition, hip hop became a part of my life that brought me so much respect, brought me so much love from people, that brought me, a sense of belonging, a sense of existence, that I wasn't just existing now. Now I am, now I was. And there was nothing ahead of it. Like, it wasn't that I am this or I am that. It's as simple as that I am. So when something brings that sort of a sense to you, then not pursuing it, I don't think that that can ever be a good idea. And see, there's one thing I'd like to tell through you to the people as well. There is nothing such as a negative reaction from parents. If they're
Okay.
angry, if they're worried, we need to understand we place our parents on such a high godly pedestal that we think that they can never do anything wrong. And therefore when they question our decisions, we suddenly become so angry, and that we become so how do I put this, right, disappointed, or we rebel, right? But if you look deeply, you understand that our parents have seen a lot of folks fail in their times,
Absolutely.
and back in their, they did not have that we have today. For the fact that there are a few technological advances that I don't understand, even from being the generation of 90s kids, I cannot expect a 60s kids or a 70s kid to as much as digested the fact that a podcast was happening online, right? So in their time, the struggles were very different, very, very different. So they judge your aspirations by those glasses. So yeah, obviously they were concerned because they come from a time where मतलब लोगों ने जब अपना आधा जिंदगी शास्त्रीय संगीत में बिता दिया था, उसके बाद एक दो मूवीज अगर धोखे से मिल जाए तो उसे भी बहुत बड़ी सक्सेस मानी जाती थी. आज के टाइम पे ऐसा है कि सिनेमा इजंट द ओनली फॉर्म ऑफ एंटरटेनमेंट एनीमोर, नाइदर इज टीवी. अभी नेटफ्लिक्स भी है, प्राइम वीडियोस भी है, एंड आई हियर सो मेनी रैप्स इन जिंगल्स एंड इन दिस एंड दैट. So yeah, maybe they were concerned. So, and I believe every parent has the right to be concerned about their child. You cannot go around and be like that. You cannot be concerned about me. It doesn't work that way. You're legitimately a biological part of both of them. They have a right over you. And how did I convince them? Well, it wasn't that tough. I kept doing what I was doing, and I kept making sure that they were satisfied on the other side as well. Like, I never gave up on my academics. I never gave up on any tasks that were given by them. And when they finally saw that I was doing good on both the ends, they were more than happy. It's just that वो एक चीज होती है ना, that for me to ask something from you, and you're in a position where your permission decides my future, I need to make sure that you are pleased. It's as simple as that. You keep a person pleased, and you keep doing what you're doing, if you start succeeding at it, nobody would hate you. That's what I believe in.
I completely agree, sir. And sir, the other thing that I wanted to ask, when was uh, when was the moment like when you realized, okay, I'm good at this, and yeah, I can pursue it further? क्या कि वो एक गाना that did well, yeah, you used to go for ciphers and rap battles. Then you realized, I'm really good at this, and I can push the bar higher.
If you would have asked this question to me, I don't know, 1.5 months ago, I'd have told you a completely different story. But if you ask me today, I believe that moment never came that, I'm good at it. It's the moment you get satisfied with the act of being good. The moment you achieve that satisfaction, it's done. So you need to keep pushing. So I don't think that I ever believed that I was good at it. I decided to pursue it because it made sense. The sort of energy I have, the sort of energy I like to live in, the sort of energy I like to, you know, uh, pass into the universe. It made sense that I did it through my words. So that's why we chose rap over everything else.
So the other question, I mean, I really respect your journey and whatever you've been doing. The other question that I have is, like we've been seeing an increase कि reaction channels बहुत बढ़ गए हैं, especially hip hop के लिए, and जो lyric breakdown करते हैं वो लोग भी बहुत बढ़ गए हैं. For example, the biggest name lyric breakdown के लिए जब हम ऐसे बात करते हैं यूट्यूबर्स की तो आता है रोहन कारियापा. सर तो
Oh, yeah. Yeah, continue your question.
Yeah, what I was saying, do you think, or ना वो ऐसे भी करते हैं, like before they start their main lyric breakdown, they give a shout out to an artist. So do you think is that in any way helping hip hop or promoting hip hop?
Absolutely, it is. And I used to criticize the reaction channels because I used to think that, they have become the main reason why people have been beefing and this and that. But then I realized that it hardly matters. Who leads to a beef. As long as the rapper stays unprovoked, I don't think it makes any sense. All right. So if you talk about Rohan, or if you talk about a fake, or if you talk
He
about the
gave.
legend of
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but if I'm not wrong, a fake gave you a shout out, right?
a fake guy featured me in his top 5 underground of the month. The track was Culture.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Then there is Sahil Katyal. There are so many reaction channels that, have come up, and everyone has a different approach towards breaking the lyrics down. Like you see a fake guy, you see that he likes to vibe with the track. Rohan, on the other end, prefers a more formal approach. Sahil bhai is that one person who appreciates, मतलब वो इंसान आपको criticize भी कर रहा होता है तो आपको ऐसा लगता है that you know वो इंसान आपकी तारीफ ही कर रहा है. Like it's such a subliminal criticism, and subliminal I don't mean that he's diplomatic or hypocritical. No, not in that sense. Subliminal as in that he brings criticism in the humblest form, right? So, and when these people give someone else a shout out, it is a great way of growing, because very honestly, the new beginners of rap, they have extremely terrible time reaching new heights, reaching new platforms, reaching new people. So these people, if they utilize their reach to bring a good track out, whether paid or unpaid, I believe that it does a lot for the community. It does a lot for rappers, and yeah, that's what's up. And I believe that I'd like to add a point to this now that we are in a podcast, and I actually wanted to speak on this as well. There was a lot of criticism from rappers coming from all ends that paid promotions and this and that. The point is that maybe as a hip hop community, we have become too used to the concept of freebies. But when it comes to, like, obviously, man, you look at Sahil Kattiyal, you look at Afik Bhai, you look at Rohan Kariyappa, you look at the rest of the people. They have been putting in a lot of effort to make their channels work. A lot of effort. Trust me, breaking rap down is not easy. Sometimes even we rappers miss it. So even if they charge for it, if they charge for featuring you in one of the videos, it is, how is that any different from you investing the money in your recording, you investing the money in your videos? It is an investment towards promotion, and I believe that it's pure and absolutely ethical form of business in hip hop community. And every community, like regardless of what that community is, needs to have some sort of business, some sort of transactions. It keeps it very smooth, right? So yeah, I mean, that's what I'd like to say about it, that even if they are charging for plugging your video in, they're still doing a lot for us. They can just simply do it for the bigger rappers and on from the monetization, and yet they choose a different path. So it's actually appreciable.
Sir, I have a very interesting question. You've been in the industry for a very long time. So when do you think, dissing each other, beefs are a very normal thing. But when do you think, okay, कि अब time है, अब रोक देते हैं, now it's getting unhealthy? वो point आपके हिसाब से कब आता है?
That is actually a very interesting question, and don't belittle yourself. It's not an interesting question in the entire interview. As a matter of fact, I find this interview. So every question has been very interesting. Don't emphasize on one, but this one is actually a tricky one, because you see, such a paradox when it comes to rap. That so what happens is, give me one second. What happens is that you diss each other. So we need to have a closer look on how rap has evolved, where it comes from, right? Under none of the pretenses is rap an Indian concept. Agreed? It did not, the point of origin wasn't India. The point of evolution wasn't India. Rap is at a very young age in India, as a matter of fact. If you look at the last few years, that's when you realize that compared to the countries that have been doing it in 1950s, 1960s, you look at rap in India and you realize that it's very young here. And so the country where rap evolved the most, it's USA. And I might be mistaken here. That is my point of view towards it. Now, when you talk about United States of America, you're talking about the people who used to call themselves gangsters. That is where the rap came from, right? NWA, Snoop Dogg,
Tupac,
what was the name of
Biggie,
Tupac, Biggie,
Wu-Tang.
all of these people, the coast in the East Coast, or the Wu-Tang Clan. Yes, that's the name I was forgetting. Thank you so much. So you're talking about an entire league of people who were very comfortable with the gun culture, with the gang culture. And so dissing was one of the least violent ways of getting your anger out, making money out of it, and making sure that it's it's there's no bloodshed when it comes to dissing. To a certain extent, there wasn't. Now, when you bring that to India, we already don't have a gun culture. We already don't have this entire problem of extravagant beefs. All right. And if it would be very unfortunate if that thing has started to evolve in India now. But it was I believe that it's not that evident right now in India either. Like you look at Raftar and MEV controversy. At the end of the day, MEV and Raftar, they came live together. They sorted their issues out. And that is what we Indians do. Even if there is a fight, there comes a time when we don't want to fight anymore. Right? Because by nature, we are harmonious. By nature, if under no manipulations, Indians are very harmonious. And that is because we are a diverse nation. Right? So, for me, that point came in when I saw that dissing does more harm than it does good. And that at least I believe in. Like, I don't know about KR dollar sign, or I don't know about anyone else, but dissing for me was fueling a false ego for me. And that ego was, so it is an interesting question. So the answer is going to be very deep, at least from my end. And it's going to be a long one that, so dissing was boosting a false ego that I had. And under that false ego were hidden all of my insecurities. Now, when you're insecure and yet your ego is stick, as I was talking, it's a very ironic and a very paradoxical answer. But you're insecure about something, and yet your ego is stick, and you're bringing other person's uh, uh, maybe confidential information or his weaknesses out in public. It empties you from within. It legitimately empties you from within, and you start feeling so broken that you know that there is something wrong. You are just no longer able to pinpoint. So for me, humility became my ultimate weapon. And that's what I'm saying, that if this conversation was happening about a month ago, my answers would have been completely different. My journey at India's Got Talent and my journey ever since has been very different. Very different. So for me, that point was in last Ramadan in 2021. Because I believe I was reading Quran. And so I don't read in Arabic because I don't speak a lot of Arabic. Therefore, I don't read it in Arabic. I read it in English. I read Quran in the language that I understand. So somewhere it said that your creator does not like the fact that you're arrogant about something. So humility is your way within. And that is when I decided if that's what God wants, then who am I to interfere in the process? I decided to become humble. And in the same book, it says that if you bring out one weakness or one misdeed of a person, we as in God will personally make sure that he brings out your 100. So that was my turning point. I was like, okay, maybe this is where the toxicity is rooted in. And you look at my posts, my stories from, I won't say 2020, 2021, because that was the harshest years of my life. But you look at 2019's Amaan Khan and you look at 2022's Amaan Khan, you will see a lot of difference in that thought process. Yep, that's what's up.
Sir, that was wonderfully answered. Sir, yes, as you said about that 2019 Aman and 2022 Aman, I completely agree with that thing. I like stop your Insta completely so I can figure the changes out. Sir, if you're comfortable enough to like talk about, you said 2019 and 2020 and 2021 were the roughest phase of your life. Would you like to throw some light if you're comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2019, I was legit on the tour, doing shows here, coming there, battling here, battling there, doing whatever was necessary and fit. Right. Then came these two dark years when I saw extreme polarization of opinions. I saw extreme And there was like, leave everything aside, bro. These are small little things. Like when you talk about polarization, hatred, I know that one fine day it will come to an end. Every battle one day comes to an end. And regardless of whose favor that battle ends in, there is peace. So I have become very neutral towards the battles and everything. The problem with 2021 and 2020 was that there was so much death. There was so much of misery. There was so much of, you opened your Instagram and you did not see people enjoying their vacations. You did not see people enjoying their time. You did not see people enjoying the lockdowns. No, what I saw was gas cylinders. What I saw was lack of resources. What I saw was people pleading on Instagram that someone should save their loved ones. And that affects your psyche, no matter how much you try to escape from it. And then I saw a few people who were saying that they should not, the others should not upload such things on Instagram and whatnot. But I believe that it's rather better to, try to sort the problem than to ignore it. But it was very taxing, very, very, very taxing. And I saw so many of my near and dear ones lose their loved ones. It was two very terrible years, right? So that is the answer on a global level. That depression was at an all-time high, and maybe my ego was getting too much of me, and therefore I believe that 2020 and 2021 were my reality check. And like, of course, they were terrible years for the entire world. But if you ask me, for me, these were 2 years that in which I learned a lot. Of course, they were terrible, but I learned a lot in these 2 years. I learned how to keep myself in check. I learned how to work better on my skills. I learned how to utilize my time better. Yeah, and they were the lowest because, as I told, misery, polarization. There were so many ongoing battles, and nobody knew which one to fight and which one not to. And I was one of them. That was me. That was
So to conclude it, we can say that 2020 and 2021 made you more humble.
I won't say that because that would be an insult to everyone who was fighting in these 2020, 2021. Like, there's a, I'm forgetting the name of the movie. It was a movie of Johnny Depp. He became a vampire in that movie. I'm forgetting the name. I don't know why. So in that movie, there is a scene of the hippie that says that, and it's based in the time periods of the World War. I don't know if it was the World War or if it was war, because I am really bad with dates. I have no shame in saying that. So there's a dialogue from that movie that a hippie says that, you know what's the good thing about the war? Everyone's like, what? He says that it's so bad that it makes everything else look good. So I believe the good thing about 2020 and 2021 was that they were such a terrible years that no matter how minuscule I achieve in 2022, it would beat that. So it's a new beginning. It's a new humble beginning, as I'd like to put it. 2020 and 2021 were a reset button for me in straight up words.
Okay. So like, can you please tell us how was performing in India's Got Talent?
That, even as a rapper, I cannot put in words. It was the most challenging, the most hard hitting, and the most evolutionary time that I have gone through. Like, there people have two outlooks towards the same thing. One is a negative one and one is a positive one. The negative one can be that they made us work so much. We weren't treated as humans and all of that. I don't say that. I don't say that. They're humans. They know how to treat you. And they've been dealing with contestants. India's Got Talent was like that one gym trainer that believed in me, that I can push above a quintal. And they knew that I could, but I didn't. So they were like, push, push, push. And that wasn't a command. That was motivation. I was there for 20, 25 days, I believe 25 or 30 days. And in those 30 days, my dimensions towards my own rap opened up so much that you see a transformed me today. Like I now finally have... So as Amaan Khan and as the rapping machine, I was two completely different entities. India's Got Talent did that one thing that I was unable to do. I don't know if you watched Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball GT, but there was a time when Goku and Vegeta were two different entities, right? There came a time when they became Gogeta. One extremely powerful god, Super Saiyan. So I believe that this India's Got Talent acted as a catalyst for my fusion. I'm finally both of them together. This time, finally, I am Amaan Khan and the rapping machine all merged into one. I'm finally complete. I am not two different pieces of a puzzle. I am finally complete. And that's what India's Got Talent did for me. To have one of the most amazing rappers of the country take a masterclass of, I don't know what, 25, 30 minutes, to have Kiran ma'am, such a respected and such a reputed figure in the industry, treat you like her son or her grandson, to have Shilpa ma'am appreciate what you've done on the stage, and to have Manoj sir act as an elder brother, telling you that you could have done this better because you have the potential, right? और उनका क्या जा रहा था? They could have simply said that, yeah, it was good. They could have sufficed it in those words and it would have been over. But the fact that I received valuable, extremely valuable feedback, I received such amounts of the time, I believe that speaks volumes for itself. So it was one of the most beautiful journeys I have been on. One of the most enlightening and inspiring journeys that I've ever had.
I mean, that's amazing, sir. Sir, so like as you, I know I've checked your Insta and like you said you met Kiran ma'am, Shilpa ma'am. The question that I have is आप इतने सारे लोगों से मिले हो, तो मतलब कभी ऐसे हुआ कि आप किसी से मिले एंड आपने सोचा कि ये तो एकदम अपोजिट है जैसे सोचा था, both in a positive way, negative way?
Negative way, though, I don't think met someone under had. And even on the positive, I don't think that has ever happened because this has been me. I don't need people with a prejudice. I don't need people with a thought in my head that he's like that. Because when karma comes to bite you back in the ass, na, you tend to change the way you look at the world. There was a time when I used to be very prejudicial. And then came a time when people became extremely prejudicial about me. So once you know how it feels, you stop with the prejudice. You're like, no. This feels terrible. And this doesn't feel right. So I believe that so far hasn't happened. So far. I don't know about the future. I hope it never happens. But so far, I don't think that has happened.
That's
Because for
wonderful.
me to say that is who am I? Or for that fact, who is anyone to think that your thoughts in the grand scheme of the universe matter? Just let everyone exist, man.
That's a
whosoever
wisdom
they
bomb.
are. And
I was saying that's a wisdom bomb.
thank you.
Sir, so moving on, for how long have you been rapping?
But now how rapping. So again, before I answer this, I need you to realize that there are two sides, right? I've been rapping since I was 7. I've been in the industry since I was, I believe, like there used to be a time when I used to count all my underground feats and everything, but now that it's like being a part of the industry is like entering the ocean. Like उससे पहले आप जमीन पे होते हो और आपको लगता है कि अपन तो तैर लेंगे और आप जमीन पे हाथ पैर चला रहे होते हो. And then you enter a pool and you're damn good at swimming, and then you enter a goddamn ocean and you're like, okay, this thing doesn't seem to end. And that's when you realize that वो जमीन and वो पानी जो था swimming pool का, they were just testing grounds. The real test begins now. So I believe my real test began from 2018. And the hustle that led to it started when I was 7 years old. And monetarily, I started earning out of it in 2016. Yes.
Sir, like as I said, I really respect your journey, sir. But for the fact that industry is very dynamic, it changes rapidly. How do you cope up with that change?
I'll ask you a question. I want to answer this one. What's the difference between a stone and a chewing gum?
Sorry, can you come back?
What's the difference between a stone and a chewing gum?
You can't bite the stone and you can bite the chewing gum.
Think a little more deeply.
Okay, you can eat the chewing gum, but you can't eat the stone.
Okay, let me put it in a better perspective. You throw a stone at a stone, the stone will budge from its place. It will be displaced. But if a chewing gum is right, like, I'm not talking about a small little chewing gum, I'm talking about a large chewing gum that is stuck on I don't know, a board or something like that, and it's hung in the space. You throw a stone at it, it will bend from its place and it will absorb that stone and it will become even heavier, right? Heavier, not in the sense that it will start carrying that burden, heavier as in that it will have more weight, more gravita in it. So the only way to survive the industry is to be a goddamn chewing gum. Be as flexible as possible, that no matter who throws what at you. I have a mentor. He's not a mentor. He's like more like I won't even say elder brother. He's like a father figure to me. He once told me that the mantra of life is never saying no. Don't say no to anything. Unless it is harming you physically, mentally, emotionally, don't say no. Do whatever is possible you think. And even if you deem it impossible, give it your best shot. Just don't say no. And that's the mantra of surviving the industry. Don't say no. Someone asks you to do a commercial track, bloody do a commercial track. Somebody asks you to do an anthem on IPL, do a bloody anthem on IPL. Somebody asks you to appear in a reality show, appear in a reality show. Somebody asks you to not appear in a reality show, don't appear in a reality show. Just don't say no. Guest appearance, 5 second ki clip, 2 second ka background, whatever. If you keep doing what you're doing and your definition of success isn't the stereotypical definition of success for the world, if it isn't about the money, if it isn't about the fame, if it isn't about the popularity, if it's more about what makes you feel whole, you'll survive the industry, you'll thrive. And I see a lot of rappers who are very scared of the fact that they go on stage and they perform and nothing good comes out of it. My question is, what do you have to lose? What popularity, what fame? Someone respects you, they'll respect you regardless of whether or not you succeeded in a reality show. And I am a very religious person when it comes to that. And the Quran says, that your respect, the respect that you crave for, comes from her will. And the disrespect that you fear also comes from her will. So if you know, broaden that thought a little, what it means is that your deeds decide that what your respect is. So good deeds do not have nothing to do with your hustle. Just don't be scared. Bloody put yourself out. Struggle a little. Get uncomfortable. We were at India's Got Talent the last day. We started rehearsing from 9 in the morning. Our rehearsal was wrapped up at 11:30, 12, and we had to report on the set at 4:30. My jaw started to ache. My tongue was aching. For the first time in my life, I realized that if you rap too much, your jaw aches. But what I realized from that is that I can rap for 13 hours. Right? So everything is an experience. You just need to be open for it. And that's the only way of surviving in the industry. Whatever industry you're a part of. If you cannot take criticism, if you cannot take thoughts of a new person, if you cannot be humble enough to understand that no matter who does what, if they are above you, then there is a reason behind that, and you need to graciously accept that, and you need to start taking the word of others that yes, there are people who are above you. There is always someone who's a godfather to the biggest godfather in the world. There is a hierarchy of power, and nobody has complete absolute power. Everyone answers to someone. As long as you keep that scheme of the universe in your mind, I believe that it is a very simple path. And as long as your success has a lot to do with your mental peace and your wholesomeness rather than materialism, I believe you're good to go. Money comes, bro. Money comes. Reputation and success, they follow. Everything follows as long as you're not giving up on your dream. It's more about what makes you whole. Yeah, another little wisdom bomb. So sorry.
No, that was a wonderful, wonderful thought, sir. I mean, brilliantly answered as well. So जब आप बात कर रहे थे च्युइंगम और रॉक का जो आप एग्जांपल दे रहे थे, तो मेरे दिमाग में एक क्वेश्चन आया कि लाइक हु एक्टेड एज अ रॉक, अ सॉलिड रॉक इन योर लाइफ ऑल दिस व्हाइल?
As a rock. Okay, you mean that who's been my pillar, right?
Yeah, pillar, yeah.
I believe a lot of credit in that perception goes to my parents, because they never questioned what am I doing. They were like, if you're doing it, makes you happy, go ahead, do it. Leave the rest of the entire world to us. So for me, it was them. That's pretty much it, yeah.
Okay. So what do you think about like MTV Hustle or Gully Boy? Are they like presenting hip hop or rap in its like pure form, or is it do you think it's not the way it is?
The problem is that in India, you cannot present rap in its true form.
Okay.
Rap is aggressive. Extremely aggressive. Rap is extremely, and on the, I won't say aggressive, like, I believe that was the wrong word for me to use. Rap is extremely dynamic. Rap can be about the gangster and the gun culture. Rap can be about world peace. Lil Dicky is a rapper. So Logic and Eminem. And so are Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. So when you're talking about something that is so dynamic and so diverse that the entire world, regardless of what language they speak, have been a have become a part of the culture, and there is no right or wrong way of presenting it. There is a way of representing, and I believe that every way in that path is right. Like Bella was an amazing rapper, a representative of hip hop community. Then so was King, so was RCR, so was EPR, and you see that the top five of MTV Hustle, they all came from different aspects of hip hop, right? And all of them represented the right thing. So I believe that there is no wrong representation, because you see, as Indians we have different struggles, as Indians we have different hustle, as Indians we have different problems, as Indians we have different moments of happiness. There's a lot of cultural difference in the point of origin and the point of adaptation. So if you think, मैं सीधा एग्जांपल देता हूँ ना यार, एक साइबेरियन हस्की को रशिया में पाल लो और एक साइबेरियन हस्की को हिंदुस्तान में पाल लो, डिफरेंस दिखने लगेगा, राइट? सिमिलरली एक कल्चर को एक ऐसे कंट्री में आप ला रहे हो जिसमें ऑलरेडी इतना डाइवर्स कल्चर है, right? That in every 500 meters, the tonality changes, and in every 500 kilometers, not even 500, I believe in the 100 kilometers, the language changes. So when you bring a culture to such a diverse culture and you apply it and you see that everyone has become a part of it, I believe that the journey itself is so beautiful that we should stop fighting about the fact that this is the right representation, this is the wrong representation. And we should all just chill the fuck out and do rap the way we like it without being judgmental to the other person. As I said, nobody, whosoever will be listening to this podcast, nobody would be expecting these answers coming from me. They'd be like, what was he smoking before this interview began? What rocks was he on? Yeah, next question.
Sir, I love where this conversation is going. So, my question to you is, what role do you think language plays? I'll be more precise in a song. I'll be more precise. Like, मतलब आप अगर आपने मतलब जहाँ तक मैं जानता हूँ आपने हिंदी, उर्दू and इंग्लिश में रैप ट्राई करा है, right?
मैं पंजाबी वाला ट्रैक अभी हाल शूट करके बैठा हूँ कल.
अच्छा, वो पंजाबी भी. तो सर मतलब आपको लगता है कि आप जो लैंग्वेज यूज कर रहे हैं एक सॉन्ग में, वो आपको भी मतलब आपकी भी उससे एक अलग कुछ ट्यूनिंग टाइप की है, एंड यू थिंक द पीपल वुड एंजॉय दिस पर्टिकुलर लैंग्वेज? आपको ऐसा लगता है या जैसे आप हिंदी में सॉन्ग कर रहे हैं आपको ज्यादा मजा आ रहा है, या इंग्लिश में सॉन्ग कर रहे हैं तो कम मजा आ रहा है? डू यू फील दैट लाइक लैंग्वेज में ऐसा होता है?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's just about यार, मुझे तो हर जबान पसंद है, मुझे नई लैंग्वेजेस सीखना बहुत पसंद है. I love exploring new languages. I love exploring the concept of a beautiful concept of something that's new. That makes me curious because I love you communicate to a local in their language. You see their faces light up. And that is one of the most beautiful feelings in the world, because suddenly you have such a beautiful sense of belonging. But when it comes to rap, I'd say that do whatever feels right. You think that this track, like for example, the track that we were shooting for yesterday, it has a lot to do with the club vibe, right? And therefore, I thought that Punjabi would make a lot of sense, because when you look at Punjabi people, they love having fun. Oh boy. If there is that one part of India that knows how to have fun, that is Punjab. And therefore, I thought that, okay, if I'm writing this track, then let's focus on this language. And it made so perfect sense, because the track goes like one shot, two shot, mere mein tera de hore role, ay mujhe khushbu, jal rahi grass kahin Delhi the club che mehek ra kasol hai. So the language brings a new dynamic, because when you adopt that language in its purest form, in its purest form, because आपको उसे adopt तो उसके purest form में करना पड़ेगा. वो आप तक आते 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 100 चीजों से filter होती हुई आती है. So you need to make sure that you don't sound as if you're imposing the language on yourself. That आपका एक imposture रूप ना बन जाए. So when you adopt a language in its purest form and you bring it down and you match the vibe of a track with that language, it is a great advantage. Similarly, when I rap in Urdu is a very sophisticated language. Like Urdu is very formal in its true form. आप जब उर्दू जबान में बात करते हैं तो आपकी जबान में बहुत ज्यादा नफासत आ जाती है. इतनी ज्यादा नफासत मस्ती में काम नहीं है. Right. So I believe that the language plays a role in setting the mood of the rap. And if not, then I believe that somewhere or the other rap becomes a little forced. Now, obviously, I come from a state where my first language has always been Hindi/Urdu. Like Hindi because it's the national, the regional language, and Urdu because it's my it's my background. So, मेरे लिए तो यार it's very simple that I experiment with languages because that is what I use to set the mood right? Because the beauty of a very diverse culture is that you have so many moods. You have one language for every mood, right? English on the other end is very blunt, very very blunt. आप और तुम और तू का फर्क नहीं करती अंग्रेजी. So yeah, that's what I feel about the language. That's how it impacts now. But for an Orthodox Bengali or for an Orthodox Tamilian, their first languages are Tamil and Bengali, right? So for them, they've had fun in it. For them, they've had their best moments and their worst moments in the same language. So you see how that plays out. But if you wish to experiment, then I say that learn every language. Don't hold yourself back. You never know which language will help you where. Like when you listen to Divine has a signature that when he's talking in his absolute passion, he talks in Konkani. Right? So you resort to the language that has been your mother tongue when you're talking about the feelings that are very hard to express otherwise. Passionate feelings. Right? There was a joke by Biswa Kalyan Rath, and it makes so much sense now that you experience different emotions in different languages. You drink English, you maybe party English or party Punjabi, but you cry in your mother tongue. You get angry in your mother tongue. So that's what I feel, that the depth of languages and how far have you experienced that culture is what impacts. Otherwise, there is nothing more to it except for that. I hope this podcast is going in a direction where you wanted it.
Absolute, sir. Absolutely. I'm loving this conversation. I love this conversation. We're talking about languages, sir. I'll tell you, like my nani, she has such a passion for languages. Like, she has done a PhD in English literature, but she writes book in Hindi. She writes about mythology and stuff. And I just realized the thing that you were talking about languages. It is so true that कि क्या पता कौन सी लैंग्वेज आपने कहा था, कौन सी लैंग्वेज फिट कर जाए आपको. So before this, we were talking about Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem. You watched their performance, their recent performance, the NFL, Super Bowl, yeah. How did you find it?
Magical. I had goosebumps throughout the entire performance. To see the legends come back and make an impact, and the crowd reaction. That is like I won't take a lot of time in answering this question. It's just one word that describes it. It's surreal. It's magical. That's it.
Okay. Your top 5 favorite rappers, both Desi hip hop or anyone.
Yeah, if again you would have asked this me month ago, the answer would have been like giving you a top 5 off the shelf. But right now, I don't have a top 5. I'm appreciating everyone right now because everyone is doing it in their vibe. Like, you can say that I've reached that level of being woke right now, that now I see that who's doing what and why. So I don't have a top 5. If you ask for my inspiration any given day, that would be Eminem. And because he was the first person to introduce me to rap. He was the first person who actually hit me where it was hurting. And he did not hit me like to hurt me. He hit me to heal me. So his raps had a huge impact on my life. So if you ask for my inspiration, that's always going to be him. But if you ask me for my top 5s, there are none. Everyone is in my top.
You remember like your first song, मतलब आपने जो पहला गाना सुना था Eminem का?
This thing is going on Spotify, right?
Yeah, this thing is going on Spotify.
About what was the first rap I heard by Eminem.
Sorry, sir, can you come back, please?
Yeah, let's not talk about the first rap of Eminem that I heard. Okay, because the first album was called Call, and I don't want people to know that what was the first rap I heard, because that is like, when I was young, that was such a boast. But now that, finally I am at an age where I understand that my choices as a public figure impacted the choices of others as well. So I'd rather keep my mouth shut about that.
Okay. So I have this very interesting question. Like, we talk about like J.O.A.T or Kendrick, Eminem, Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z. Many people refer them as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. So, like, if you can tell me like what are the I know this is going to be this won't be very precise, but what are the elements that make a rapper greatest of all time?
The conviction of words is what I believe that makes someone the GOAT.
Conviction of words.
That's it. Fuck variety. Fuck what the topic is. The conviction that you have towards it is what makes you a GOAT. Like when I'll give you an example, and I'll try to explain that what I mean by conviction. When Eminem says in Fall that somewhere some kid is probably lip syncing while looking in the mirror, that's who I'm doing it for. The rest I don't really even care. That thing sends a shiver down your spine and it makes your hair stand straight. That is the conviction. When RCR says, आज भी ख्याल तेरा सोने नहीं देता, आज भी मुझे किसी का होने नहीं देता, that digs a goddamn hole in your heart. That's conviction. When Kendrick says that, hey, I'm not able to recall the rap, right? Yeah, I'm so fucking sick and tired of the Photoshop. Show me something natural with axolotls. Again, not really good with lyrics. So when he says that, you feel that, yeah, man. So if someone has the ability of bringing you to their mood and they're actually so convincing that you actually, your mood shifts according to what language are they talking in. And by language, I don't mean English or Hindi. The language of, frustration, language of badassery, language of savagery, language of party, language of notoriety. That makes you the greatest of all time. It's as simple as that. I don't believe in complicating.
You mean the language of emotions?
Yeah, absolutely. Not exactly also emotions. Like emotions is again a very narrowed down paradigm. more towards the syntagms of it. Because when I'm angry, I'm furious, I'm hurt, I'm bleeding, and yet I'm on a murderous rampage, right? When I'm happy, I'm not just happy. I might be high, I might be ecstatic. So emotion is a very narrowed down paradigm. I am looking more towards the side of the broadest spectrum of what a human feels. And just emotions. That is the language of the vibe. Right?
Sir, talking about your performance in India's Got Talent, you said that मैं पहले अंडरग्राउंड कर रहा था, मैं थोड़ा कमर्शियल की तरफ बढ़ रहा हूँ, राइट? Sir, so what is like the major difference between what we consider as an underground rapper or and what we consider a commercial rapper? Is it the money? Is it the views? Or is it the type of rap?
It's it has a lot more to do with the relatability. So you see an underground rap, a few people will find relatable who actually listen, who are hardcore fans of hip hop. They'll understand underground with no issues, no caps. Right. But when you're talking about something that is massively relatable, it suddenly becomes commercial. So the massier the track, the more commercial it is. As simple as that. It's all about that. How much is the track relatable? Like for example, if I'm talking about a heartbreak, right? And I bring in the elements of my personal life. Suddenly, I've centered it down right to me. The person listening to it might have sympathy for me. And given the fact that you are a nation of 1.3 billion people, maybe a lakh will relate to it because they have gone through the same. But if I keep it open to interpretation, it becomes commercial because now every person who's listening to it has had even if a moment of heartbreak. So that's the difference between underground and commercial. As simple as that.
Sir, I really want to know this. How did you decided that your stage name will be the Rapping Machine?
One of those many questions. Again, if you would have asked a month earlier, would have had a different answer. Today they don't. I wanted to make an impact. Honest to God truth, I wanted to make an impact. I wanted a person to feel that this guy maybe he's something different. Why would he call himself the rapping machine? Is he self-obsessed? Something like that. The point was never that. And of course there's a story related to it, but that is the story that I've been telling myself since ages to boost my ego. And finally that I've let go of it. I can finally see that why did I name myself such. I'm a guy who likes to push himself to the maximum that he can. So when you say that you're the rapping machine, what you mean is that you were manufactured to rap. So waking up every day aspire to justify my name, to be inspired to do something that inspires everyone, and you can say that with conviction that I am the rapping machine. That is why I chose that name.
Okay. So, sir,
I have something I can fight for to justify all my life. Gave myself a reason to rap for life. I wanted to convince myself that, if I am entering rap, I want to be all of it. I want to be the underground artist. I want to be the struggler. I want to be the VIP. I want to be the hustler. I want to be the battle rapper. And I want to be one of the best, if not the best, at each and every one of them. That's why I chose the name The Rapping Machine. So that name is a daily hustle. wake up every morning motivated to justify it. That's what's up.
So again, a very interesting question that I have. You have to name like two rappers, your dream collab, one that is alive and one that is like no more. Okay.
My dream collaboration with two rappers, one alive, dead. I'd say that dream collaboration, and it's not a dream, it's more like a fantasy, would have been with Tupac. Rest in peace. And my collaboration with other rappers who are alive. Tricky question. I'd say that'd be K. Lamar. Either K. Lamar or Yelawolf. And the reason I don't want to collaborate with Eminem even in my dreams is because I'm afraid I'll ruin this track.
Sir, why Yelawolf? Like that is a very interesting name. Like
You listen to Yella?
I have heard his track with Eminem, Best Friend.
And that is exactly why I want to collaborate with that guy, because his range is absolutely terrific and terrifying. That guy has so much to offer. You listen to Pop or Trunk, you listen to Best Friend, and then you listen to tracks like Gangster of Love, and you listen to tracks like I Just Wanna Party. And that to one rap, that one hook line has made all the difference. Like, we blowing smoke in the air, we drinking nice cold beer with your girl in my ear saying she just wanna party. And from that you go to that. Ain't never been much of a church time, but I believe in the last day. Right? So that's what's up. That's why Yellow.
Okay, so the last and the final question that I have for you, like what can your audience further expect from you and from your future endeavors?
I don't know. I don't know what can they expect right now, because as I said, that I used to think that my journey is finally coming to fruition. Right, that my journey has finally, I have finally arrived. I just got a huge reality check that my journey has just. So I believe what they can expect from the rapping machine this moment onwards is a lot of humility in his tracks, a lot of relatability. And I believe that is when you leave the underground, when you finally start believing that you don't fucking matter. It's a very negative statement for some. But then the thing that makes you grow the most isn't always positive.
Very true.
That's the truth. You don't fucking matter. Because that is what is supposed to motivate you to matter. You need to become relatable. Nobody is going to give a fuck about how badly were you beaten up or how badly did you suffer until unless you don't make an impact. And to make that impact, you need to be massively relatable. So I just had a huge chin check that I don't fucking matter. To the people that I do, I am absolutely in love with them. I appreciate them with all of my heart. To the listeners who've been loyal to the rapping machine since day one, and it's time to give them something back. So my stories won't anymore revolve around the rapping machine. They will revolve around the world in general. So yeah, two things that you expect from the rapping machine. One is I cannot promise, because I'm human at the end of the day, no matter how much I like to call myself a machine. But I will give it my best shot to stay as humble as possible, as woken up as possible, away from, detached from the materialism of the world, and on the other end, I'd love to deliver better work than I have in the last 18 years. Yeah, that's what's up.
So I'm extremely sorry, but just one question. I said that was the last question. But sir, you said like I had a doubt. You said that it's about being relatable. So can we consider that when you're being relatable on a track, you're showing a vulnerable side of yours?
Maybe, maybe not. And I'd rather be a vulnerable, miserable, and absolutely sadistic, emotional sort. Not sadistic. Sadistic isn't the right word. An absolutely sad and sensitive sort of a figure, yet wholesome within myself, than to boast a false ego and bloody wake up every day frustrated. So yeah, maybe I'm like that's how somebody wants to, not vulnerable side of me, rather a very open side of my emotions. What is vulnerability? What is vulnerability? Vulnerable, like see, this is the problem. This isn't like my problem with you or my problem with someone else. This is the problem. We have stereotypicalized emotions so much that when we start talking about emotions, the first word that comes to our mind is vulnerability. How? If I'm speaking that I'm sad, how is that vulnerable? It is vulnerable if somebody is pulling my leg on how, why am I sad? Why is somebody pulling my leg? Because we've been taught all our lives that people aren't allowed to be sad. Why? If we lived in a society where sadness and depression were accepted as the way they are, would we still call it being vulnerable? No, we won't. God created us with emotions for a reason. Why are we so focused on ones and we ignore all the rest? It's not about being vulnerable. It's about being open. It's about stripping yourself naked and being proud of the way you are. Some may have six packs, some may not. I have a body type that whatever I eat, the fat turns quickly. So I don't have the six packs. But yet I have a good tongue. A good tongue that I can rap with. So if I strip myself naked, I'm still proud of myself. I'm not proud of myself as in proud that, oh, look at my body. No. I'm proud. And on the same time, I'm appreciating someone who has six packs. Not being jealous, not being insecure. So not vulnerable, but yes, open. That's what music is supposed to be. Music is relatable. If you're making music for yourself, it belongs in your laptop. It doesn't belong out in the studios. If you're making music for masses, then you make sure that you're open. Closed doors. Do not invite the new guests. You need an open house to make sure that the guests come in, right? You need to be that open. I'm being that open. That's what's up.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine. And thank you so much for having me over. I'm humbled by this.
It's an honor. Thank you so much.